Hello, this is Walter Katz with the Independence News, reporting live. Today we have an arraignment going on for some anti-nuclear protesters. These people got arrested. Well, I'll ask them and I'll let them speak.
So it's inspiring if nothing else. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely
We'll flip the camera, please. There we go.
Father Lewis's thing. Judge ended up saying goodbye. Basically, let us go, and we were like, don't we even have to yell and scream?
Sometimes they have two sense. It's like, what is this? What is this syllable? Jim's been through this too, right?
Yeah, I've been arrested 5 times.
Oh, really?
It's kind of varied. Sometimes they get dropping charges.
Yeah.
Other times, 2 or 3 times I did community service, like 30 hours community service, paid fine.
Yeah.
And paid for non-supervision. That's another interesting thing. So it's just hard to say. One time we came here.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
So
Hi, I'm Walter.
Hi, Walter. Good to meet you.
You too.
I'll be out
You
there
got
with
some
you.
good buttons on your head.
Oh, thank you.
No penalty. Didn't have to pay any court costs or anything that time. But other times they sentenced the judge to write an essay about why are you doing this.
Oh, well, that was
He said,
good.
Yeah, he said that'll become a part of the public record forever.
Wow. Well, that's good.
So it's all just been everywhere across the board. And Henry's something that's sort of special case that I think he's one who makes the law, so to speak. He's had a much more challenging time prosecution issue. He wanted to actually have a trial. That's his goal, is actually go on trial. So far, that's not been good.
Yeah.
Well, let me, before we get in there, would you mind if I just kind of made a little recording here? They won't allow me to do this in court. I don't
I'm already starting going live right now. So if you want to like talk into the camera about what's going on, because I know you already told me, but tell it to the camera.
Sure. Wait, live for what?
So it's my little news channel. It's called Independence News.
Cool.
I only have like 50 people subscribed, and I don't think I even got anybody watching right now. But it will get saved to my YouTube, and then it will stay on there so that, you know, at least somebody's reporting it.
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, cool.
So would you like to tell the people what it's about?
Yes, so Kansas City is actually a major producer for parts for nuclear weapons all across the nation, and no one's talking about it. And it's frustrating for those of us who know that nuclear war will end life on Earth as we know it. So it's important to put your body on the line and say something, do something. However, this court system doesn't feel to be, it's not very liberating for our cause, and in fact it's incredibly disheartening, and it just inspires us to organize in other ways.
So you got
Positive.
so the 3 of you, correct?
Me and Rylan were arrested.
Okay, you said there was 3 of you.
Anna's not here yet.
Okay, so you 2 got arrested for protesting where?
At the National Security Campus run by Honeywell.
Of course, Honeywell.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I remember years ago, back like before I graduated high school, I had like a job fair, and Honeywell was one of the places. I remember them showing us, oh, and this is what a nuclear warhead looks like. Like it has everything except the actual uranium in it. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, no, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Yeah, specifically with like uranium mining, that's impacted like indigenous communities the most. And that's another thing that people just are not willing to talk about. It's the harm that's been done to communities, not our own. Like this plant is separated from the rest of our city. We don't see the direct environmental impacts of like the plant that we have producing nuclear weapons. But there's other places around the country that are being directly impacted by mining, by waste, by like military forces taking over like nature, like we're seeing in Atlanta. So, like there's many different ways that the military industrial complex is encroaching on our peace and our way of life. and I guess we're here to like dissent that.
So if I remember correctly, I remember hearing from some of my military friends back in the day. I think south of here, I think it's called Fort Collins, but I guess we have like a nuclear stockpile here in Missouri. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. Like, they honestly don't make this information super accessible or easy to find or easy to track or understand. So there's stockpiles all over the country. There's all sorts, and a lot of the production, a lot of the waste is done in secret. But what has been brought to light is really disturbing, and not with the will of the people in mind at all. Except that it's being, our tax dollars are being used to do it. So
Right.
That's what I think makes it theft and crime.
Did you see the movie Oppenheimer?
Yes,
Sure did.
How do each of you respond to what that message was, and how it relates to what you're doing?
I thought it was interesting to see how this all got started. And obviously it's a biopic, so like it's focusing on Oppenheimer, the man himself, whatever. I did think that it's a 3-hour movie, and they could have put something in there about the impact to other communities, people that aren't this sad white guy who's like, you know, oh, I feel guilty about creating a weapon of mass destruction. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You should feel incredibly guilty about this. But zero footage of like any people of color that were impacted, or like the impact that their testing had in New Mexico on the local indigenous communities there, that it's still having on the impact in Japan. Like, all we get is like a list of numbers of the amount of like deaths that have happened. It's hundreds of thousands, and it's insane that no one thought to get any perspectives other than like Oppenheimer and this other terrible like senator or whoever person, Strauss, whoever that guy is. I never even heard of that guy before. I was just like, I don't really care about this guy. Like, he's just trying to smear Oppenheimer. I don't really care.
Yeah, it was just drama.
But it was just drama and nothing about the actual impacts that creating the nuclear bomb actually had on the world, except for perhaps the last line, which I did think was like pretty impactful, that like they circled back to that. They thought it might cause a chain reaction that would destroy the world, and then, you know, it didn't in the moment, but it is slowly, all the time, forever, because we keep doing it. We keep creating these freaking weapons, despite it being made illegal, like with the United Nations or whatever, said that that's like super fucked.
How was your response, Kimmy, to the Oppenheimer?
Very similar. To echo like what Rylan's saying, it's like, yeah, and 3 whole hours, like, you waste my time for 3 whole hours to show me pretty images and a sad guy, like, and it's just, yeah, like, there was so much more to say. I mean, you especially have the knowledge and information of like what actually happened, what actually went down, who was actually harmed. To not focus on any of that for a second, a literal second, is shameful. And yeah, Christopher Nolan, you made a pretty movie. They're like, oh, it's such a pretty movie you made. Good job. We all expected that, but it would have been nice to make it a more productive effort towards educating people. A lot of people learned some history through, like, some really skewed history through this movie. I'm sure a lot of people did not actually know the inner workings of how Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended up being bombed.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't even entirely know
and they
that.
make it seem like it's a thing of the past, even doing like the most recent footage in black and white and stuff like this. Like, that makes it seem like it's over and done with, and it is not. It is still happening to this day.
Yes.
We're creating nuclear weapons all the time. It's maddening.
Yeah.
So is this why the two of you then went to the nuclear weapons plant here in Kansas City, which is has an annual budget of over $1 billion and employs over 7,000 people?
Yeah.
How did all that fit into your desire to cross the line?
Well, Oppenheimer came out long after we got involved, but like, yeah, it really, I guess, it really just, I feel like it inspired me through knowing the timeline to have a better understanding of this. It's like, okay, I feel more grounded in what's happening to know that this was all like it all stemmed from a source. And I don't know. And really, the movie has not played a role in inspiring me much beyond that. If anything, it kind of added to my exhaustion. Because now everyone's talking about nuclear weapons in this way that's like super uninformed, and but still people don't want to hear you rant about it at their face. Be like, hey, like your death is staring you in the eyes. Like no one.
I know,
They'll watch a movie about a guy who did it, but they won't actually listen to you talk about it.
And still, most people don't know that this is happening in Kansas City.
Yes.
Like, every time I tell someone about this, they're very surprised.
Yes.
They'd be even more surprised if they knew it started 75 years ago.
Exactly.
This is the second plant.
Exactly. I tell people this, and everyone's like, wow, that's insane. It is.
It is insane.
It's bonkers.
So,
Stop.
I will ask you, have you ever been to the Truman Library down in Independence? So, I will say the Truman Library has a bit more information. So they do have like, now I will say they do have kind of a skewed video. So like they'll have like, but you'll actually get like some of the Japanese perspectives in there about their impacts, you know, they have like...
Only a perspective we should be listening to when it comes to, you know...
Right.
Yeah, we shouldn't even be like talking about it without the
But
perspective.
even still, even at the Truman Library, they tried to justify it. You know, like, well, it was either that or we invaded Japan, we lost all these American laws.
Those options are a fallacy, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's... You know, I mean, even in the video with the Japanese people talking, they said, well, you know, it's our own government's fault for not surrendering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I come from Independence, Missouri. That's where Truman was from. So I kind of have a bit of perspective on Truman myself. So
Yeah. I don't know much about him, honestly.
Well, whenever you go to a school called Truman High School, you'll learn a lot about him.
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
Wow.
But
It's a good museum. It's very well done. It's good to see.
yeah, I would recommend it because that would help you. I mean, you seem already pretty knowledgeable, but I mean, it could let you learn more about, you know, the process of decision making in the war. I remember doing the tours whenever I was in school. I remember going there twice during elementary school and once during high school. And they gave you this tour, and they go through and they kind of explain everything. So you can sign up for the tours, and I think it's a pretty good experience.
That's beautiful.
And I would say what I found very intriguing about the Oppenheimer movie is, because I myself am a socialist, I did think it did reveal a lot about how, like, the underhanded tactics that they use to kind of undermine the socialist and communist movements here in America. You know, but I don't know if they only put that in to kind of scare people away from it, but at the same time, like, as a socialist, it only made me, like, more pro-socialist and more pro-communist.
Right.
Because it's just like, so just because this guy had a little bit of association with the Communist Party, they went after him. So,
Very clearly.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the McCarthyism that was going on at the time, too.
Yeah.
Right.
I was interested, you mentioned that people don't really want to talk about this when you try to share more about what's really going on, what the future impact might be, that they're not interested. And that was an interesting thing about the history of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was that the Defense Department actually kept journalists out there, and especially photographers. Like, it was okay to show pictures of the destruction of the buildings, but you didn't want to show any pictures of the people. And that was also true in the Oppenheimer movie. There were no images. You're kind of fading to that, and you're thinking, oh, now we're going to see those iconic photos, but that's not what happened. So, what is it in your life that caused you to move from this kind of denial that's kind of widespread in the United States? You say, hey, this is really my cause, and this is my life, this is my future generations' lives. What
Well-
moved you to action?
I mean, I've always felt anti-nuclear weapons and stuff, but I was very inspired and galvanized by Kimmy's activism within the city, which began, like her position upon the board of Peaceworks began in the last year, and so I've been hearing a lot about it, seeing how inspired that Kimmy's been, and it's been very inspiring for me. And you have to fight the sort of nihilism that shows up when you talk about these things, where it's like you can't do anything about it and it's pointless, and that's how they want you to feel.
And it's never
That's how they want you to
pointless.
feel.
Yeah.
That's like intentional. They want you to feel like you can't do anything, like you don't have a voice, like you're too busy with capitalism, which is of course why we fought the communist movement so hard. But like, then you have to be busy working to live your life, to do all the things that you want to do. You have to earn a living, which I think is the craziest statement in the world. But like, yeah, so I try to just combat nihilism whenever possible about these types of things, and listening to Kimmy doing this work was very inspiring for me. We're good friends, so I was like, hell yeah, and I just wanted to support you within your work. Yeah.
If
What
my
triggered your activism and decision to actually cross the line?
It's really interesting. I just kind of feel like anti-nuclear work is it's like a neglected part of the climate justice movement, and I am still very interested in participating in, like, you know, organizing against fossil fuels and like oil companies and stuff like that. However, this is something that I just didn't see a lot of young people talking about. I didn't see a lot of young people giving a shit about it, and so I just thought, like, even when I do go to events, it's like, oh, I'm like, you know, like we meet some folks and like, sorry, I got distracted. But
Just showed up.
yeah, I don't know. I just really thought that it should be something that young people should be talking about, considering it's on all like it's so hard to maintain our resources as it is that I don't want over $1 billion going to nuclear weapons. You know,
Right.
like that's.
And tons of younger people are advocating for like a Green New Deal, and I don't know if like nuclear waste and stuff like that is even touched upon. So that-
I believe in Jill Stein's original version, there was. I don't know if there is in the AOC's Democrat version, but I believe Jill Stein's version there was.
That's good, at the very least. But it feels like something more people should be talking about and caring about.
And especially with the impact on Indigenous communities. I think that's also something that really...
With what, I'm sorry?
The impact on Indigenous communities, across... Going to DC Days with Peaceworks and getting to hear from a Navajo advocate, directly from her about her community and what they've endured, it was, like, really eye-opening for me. So I think that was really what stuck me. And like, okay, this is very widespread. This is very violent and prolific. Like, we need to get a grip on this now. Now is the time to get a grip on it, because it's been so many decades and we're still here. So there's still time, I think, to reverse. Oh, Anne's here.
Yes.
Amazing.
I thought the one significant lack of part of the movie was that they didn't mention that within the 50-mile radius there were like 20,000 people there.
Exactly. They made it seem like it was the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that it was. They made it seem like it was deserted, basically, and then just like, oh, give the land back to the Indians, which is like so offensive, as if it was usable now, as if they weren't already being impacted by the climate happening and like the radiation and stuff. Climate changes, the radiation.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And there were Hispanic U.S. citizens living on that land. It was not desolate. It was not even just being used by quote unquote the Indians. Like, there were like U.S. citizens living on that land who lost like their lives and resources
And
for
also,
the
they were
bomb.
like having 1 million babies at this place.
Right.
Don't forget the uranium mining. I know many families, even in France, who have had history cancer in their family.
Yeah.
From the uranium mining.
Exactly.
Terrific.
That's still happening in Tennessee. Oh yeah, Anne's turn.
Exploring in relationship to why people decided to take the action of crossing the line. Like, we've talked a lot about how American society basically denial about this. You're from the health region, so did that tie in with your decision to cross the line?
Yes, it certainly did. I am a master's prepared pediatric nurse, 45-year career, and I am a mandated reporter if children are being abused and or even threatened to be abused, I am mandated under pain of law to report it. I can be put in prison or I can be fined if I don't report it. And this enterprise, and I do mean enterprise, it's a corporate abuse of our monies, our tax monies, because they are using billions of dollars and wasting it on these debt machines that could kill millions and billions of children. They're totally evil. They do not protect us. They do not keep us safe. There is no stopping a nuclear weapon. It's impossible to shoot it down, and even by some miracle you did shoot it down, you would spread radioactivity all over the place. Radioactivity is not our friend. It destroys the DNA in our bodies, and it causes cancers, and it also causes birth defects, generation upon generation of damage. It never should have been built in the first place, and we definitely need to take them all apart and use that money for things that will help.
So as a health professional, then you're present and future health problems.
Yes.
And past, I guess.
Yes.
And how many things that child abuse, I guess.
Yes, it is. There have been many children die of leukemia, and not only live around production of nuclear weapon sites, but also nuclear energy sites. It's the same poison. Uranium is processed to make plutonium. It's the most poisonous toxic substance on Earth. It is man-made, and we've made such a mess. We have nowhere to put the waste products from this. Millions and millions of tons of it. There's no plan and very little money being spent on so-called cleanup.
Last night I saw the Fukushima cleanup. Have you ever seen an aerial photograph of that? They just have like 1,100 huge tanks where they're storing this contaminated water, and in the process eventually, hopefully, someday, removing almost everything from it. But now there's just more. They can't keep building. There's no more room to build more tanks. There's still a lot of this stuff.
Not to mention Earth and all the
that was just one
things.
that was one little accident.
Yeah.
I love if you intentionally exploded one of these in the atmosphere.
That's right. Over in Ukraine, Zaporizhia is already a threat. It has like 6 reactors, and they have been all seeded with explosives, and it's just crazy. And we need to study more, we need to learn more, we need to reflect more. What do we value? Is human life precious or not?
So as a long-time advocate in this cause and other related causes, how do you keep yourself from just despairing? How do you keep yourself motivated to say, hey, I'm going to keep after this no matter what?
I take a lesson from the slavery abolition movement, and they endured centuries of all kinds of mistreatment and abuse and murder and rape and you name it, and they did not falter. They kept on until they found freedom, and even then they had to put up with other laws to keep them back, to discriminate against them, and they never wavered. They kept moving forward, and the key to it is having that truth that you know inside yourself. Like Gandhi says, Satyagraha, it's his truth force. And for me personally, I believe in God and my prayer life, and my fellow Christians are my truth. Amen. I've been involved for about 15 years.
Did you write this up?
I did.
Here.
I signed it.
Okay. Well,
It was his.
Sorry, but it's something I gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
They might, live for maybe 40 years, and they would keep on, and their son or their grandson, and it might take several centuries we have to study all 4 and work daily study and reflection and active participation to try to stop that.
Sorry.
Yes, and also Martin Luther King said it's nonviolence or non-existence, and I believe that.
We're going to learn to live together, and we're all going to die together.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's why we're here today. Do you have an opportunity to speak to the judge, do you think? What's going to happen?
Today is just a procedural appearance in court to say what your plea is, and also if you have a lawyer, and if, as I'm doing, I'm pleading not guilty so that I can have a trial, and so I will be going pro se, which is, I'm going to defend myself without a lawyer.
But you won't really have an opportunity to speak today, right?
No, it's just a procedural appearance. Yeah. And the people with me guilty, but they should be able to speak for 3 minutes on why they did it. And in my trial, I've been told that they would not allow me to say anything about why I did it. But my advisor is going to be Henry Stover. He's a retired lawyer, and so he will help me prepare my court brief, and he will help me question in court.
Henry's been trying to get himself in court for quite some time.
Yes, he has.
Without success.
But
It's like they don't want to bring him to court for some reason. They don't want publicity or...
Well, they're focused on very narrow interpretation of the law because they're just concerned about did I cross the line or did not.
Do you feel you broke the law?
I feel like the plant is breaking the law. They are the ones who are doing criminal activity. They are threatening all life on Earth, and they are complicit. They are guilty. They are the criminals. I want this to be waged with them on fire. And put the stink on nuclear weapons.
Well, and don't forget, the First Amendment of the Constitution gives you the right to protest.
Yes, and I do have my, rights as an individual for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and this is a key element of my religious belief in nonviolence. Because after Jesus was totally nonviolent, he came to teach us that is the way God is, and that is what God wants us to be, loving and totally nonviolent.
Amen.
Getting rid of nuclear weapons is a good first step, but we need to get rid of all of them. We really do.
That's the real motive of everything.
Yes, yes.
Think about what's on our country. That's that stuff that's like war. Dress up like a white and have it.
Seen it, yes, yes. Right. God was with him. And I've been listening to audio book, which I like to do a lot when I'm driving around in the car, and it's the Genome Project. It talks about how unbelievably, seriously, fantastically, marvelously we are made, and we are just, our recipe is our DNA, which is a filament, a little thread, and it has all the instructions for how to live life, and it is like 23 chromosomes, 30,000 to 80,000 genes on each chromosome, and it's just incredible. And to have that kind of ability to understand the universe and ourselves and the cosmos is just like a miracle. And it just shows that, I mean, I think all life is sacred, and to have that awareness and that consciousness is what we need to promote. Those beliefs that, we're too precious to hurt one another.
I've been reading a book by Joanna Macy. So she talks about things as usual, the great unraveling, and then the great. It's kind of moving on hope. She's willing to accept the fact that human race is running out. But for her, even though you're willing to
I've met her down there. Yes, in Colorado, yes. Oh, yes. About 10 years But the last time Okay. Well, I think they're going to want you to eat it before you go in the courtroom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or after. Where you might be in the doctor. How are you feeling?
I'm okay.
You're not the lawyer.
Kind of tired, but it's all good. Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Very last minute.
I'm going to sit over there. This truly disturbing amount of time.
I might have to leave it. It's too late.
Don't worry. I appreciate you showing up.
Hey, Kimmy, right?
Well, we pray for you all the time.
Yeah, the audio with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for putting your body on the line.
Happy to.
Well, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know.
I used to go to Fort Benning when I was younger, but I never been across. That was a great experience.
Where did the other one go?
Georgia. That was the one of our sisters was kidnapped in Georgia in Guatemala, and so his needs to go to to protest and claim people in other countries to do
I'm sorry I missed those, but I heard a lot about it.
Now they each went in together.
Hey, she said that you and the, I don't remember the other girl's name, but you guys are planning on pleading guilty?
Yeah, well, the trial did not turn out to be the most lucrative option for us since we don't have a record. I thought it would just be better to, get this done.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why I say that is, I'm actually a card carrier member of FIRE. They're an organization about, civil rights and protecting freedom of speech. Technically, for what you were doing, you're using your First Amendment right to protest, so on those grounds, you're not guilty.
We crossed the property line. It's really black and white. We broke the law. You're right. And in a trial setting, they have the right to object to what we say for relevance. They could say that's not relevant because what you did was trespassing because you crossed the line. They painted a big purple stripe on the ground to make it as obvious as possible that we did cross the line.
you were crossing the line.
They've done this before because they know that we do this every year. They want people to be found guilty. The game is really stacked against us intensely, and it's beautiful to try and like work a different angle, but like in the court, it's entirely stacked against you. The whole thing. They can silence you for the whole trial. That's like basically like they can just object to any moral grounds that you want to say. If I just do a statement, I get to speak uninterrupted. But if I do a trial, I will get interrupted and I'll get silenced the whole time. And I'll have to sit and listen to cops testify about me for an hour or whatever, you know? I'm like, I don't have to listen to cops for who knows how long. Like, that's not... Exactly. Like, it's not about pleading not guilty. It's not about proving that I did the right thing. Like, none of it's about that, you know? Because I know I did the right thing. It's not about proving that to the court. The court doesn't care. The court genuinely does not care whether I did the right thing or not. All that matters is getting people to care, you know? Make people show up. Yeah.
That's the point.
Well, what would happen to you for pleading guilty? What?
I'll get like a lesser punishment, and it'll probably just get expunged because it's my first one.
That is an excellent
Oh.
question.
I have other like, you know, there's other. Wait, hold on. Can you? I don't know. It's difficult to. So it's like, you know, like this is all just a facade for something else. This is just the court. It's just a big game. I don't really care about winning this game. You know what I mean? There's other more important games to win, I think.
Okay.
I do appreciate you caring, but
Well,
it's a
I
little
don't.
too late
I
for
wouldn't
legal
want to
strategy.
see you like you don't think you would go to jail or anything.
No, not even close, because it's my first one. If I do try to plead not guilty and then still get convicted guilty, then it would be a much worse record for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So like, you know, it sucks, but like the court just kind of sucks. Like all of it just is the worst. So if we had prepared a legal strategy, if we had planned, then it would have been possible. Your defense would be possible if it was prepared and planned ahead of time, but we didn't, and so we kind of just fell into the trap that they laid for us. You know? Yeah. You should come. Have you been to Memorial Day protests?
The Memorial Day protests? No.
You should definitely come and see what it's like.
Is it on Memorial Day itself?
Yes.
Memorial Day is in May, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I told you, but I just started at UMKC. I moved in the dorm yesterday. So today's my second day in the dorm, so since I figured I knew you all were doing this today, I'd come up here.
Awesome.
I didn't even think about it. The car that Tesla launched, they could put a little
How the court work really pisses me off.
way out.
I mean, I'm going for political science and then going to continue that into a law degree so that I can be like an attorney or like people like you who, you know, get arrested for doing the right fucking thing,
Right.
you know.
Awesome.
Either that or run for office so that I can change the fucking law myself. You know, I don't know yet,
There's options.
you know, but trust me, I get it.
Thanks for caring.
Well, you know, I'm one of those people where, like, I would be shouting out, you know, like, quoting the First Amendment, I've been quoting Article 6, Paragraph 2, where it says that the Constitution is supreme law of the land. According to the supreme law of the land, the law above everything else in the United States of America, you have the right to protest.
Yeah, hold on, wait. I need a piece of
My camping buddies that
have a cockroach commonality, his friends and others like that. So
The United States
One
Constitution.
second, which part of it?
Okay, so Article 6,
when I was writing my dissertation,
Paragraph 2. And I would have to stop this to like actually find the actual quote.
No, it's okay. I just need the I just
No. So that says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So what's the right to protest one?
That's the First Amendment.
Okay, First Amendment. Sorry, I don't even know this shit, so First Amendment. Oh, Supreme.
And that's
you slurp trespassing charges. Supreme over trespassing.
well, supreme over when it comes to protesting. You were using your right to peacefully protest.
Yes.
Daddy was pretty cross too.
I'm just wanting to use this inspiration to share a thought today. If I do get to speak before, I genuinely
Well,
don't know.
that's why I was going to pull up the actual quote for you.
Yeah, but I'm not going to try to quote it directly. Like, it's not effective to quote things directly. I only have 2 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm going to actually talk.
Okay, fair enough.
I get what you're saying, but also no one's going to be listening. And honestly, I just need this for defense for when people do talk to me about, oh, why are you doing this? This is pointless and dumb. Well, I'm doing it because I have the fucking right to, and because there is no other avenue to protest nuclear weapons in this city. There is no other avenue. The only avenue is going about it.
Right.
They haven't made a forum. They haven't made a website you can make comments on. They don't have any meetings with their city council. They don't ever make these decisions for the public to find. It's all about just these corporate interests, and that's not fucking right. So I put my body on the line to say that. Not to trespass over a purple line for fun, but because I feel like it's necessary for life.
Yeah, I would recommend saying, the Constitution is supreme law of the land, and the First Amendment of the Constitution says I have the right to protest.
Yeah. Valid as fuck.
Because here's the thing, and technically, because the reason why I was going to quote the quote is because all judges within the United States are bound thereby, including the judge you're going to talk to.
Right.